What's going on, everybody? Ace here, and I hope you guys missed me just a little bit. Today I'm going to be talking about my pre-workout. Yes, guys, my own pre-workout. And I know some of you may be a little bit confused because I made two videos explicitly talking about the fact that I am no longer High Stim Ace and I no longer will be reviewing pre-workouts, at least these stim-based pre-workouts. Now, this pre-workout here is my pre-workout. I created the formula for this one. I collaborated with Project M Supplements, which is a brand that I really believed in, and I enjoyed most of their products. Now, this was in production. This has been in the works for well over a year, from concept and theory to conceptualization to actually making it happen, and really want to give a major thanks and shout out to Project M Supplements for bringing my vision to reality. As you guys know, or maybe not everybody knows, I no longer review pre-workouts. I had to quit the high stim lifestyle. But what I am going to do, because I finally got this beauty right here in hand, this is my pre-workout, High Stim Hitter, as is appropriately named. So we're going to talk about it, and we're going to go over the label. I'm going to kind of give you a little bit of the thought process, a little bit of behind the scenes, if you will, of what my thought process was going into this, what I was aiming to create, a couple of products that inspired this masterpiece here. And I'm going to tell you guys a little bit of the early feedback that I've been getting because unfortunately this here isn't a quote-unquote review. I'm not able to have my own pre-workout, which is the ultimate irony, but such is life. At least I went out with a bang. So the concept here, first of all, we're going to begin with the name, High Stim Hitter, right? This is a name that I think is very appropriate because when I used to be active on the subreddit, there's two subreddits that I used to be active in, one more than the other, but when I first got my start there a couple of years ago, before I even started the YouTube channel, a lot of people would refer to pre-workouts that hit nicely as hitters. And hitters, a lot of time, were called high stim hitters, and hitters for short. But a lot of times, oh, this pre is a hitter, you got to try it, it's a hitter, it's a hitter. And I'm thinking to myself, what is more appropriate to name a hitter than high stim hitter? What a better way to show something is synonymous with the High Stim Ace brand. So that's how the name came about, High Stim Hitter. Hey, have you tried the new High Stim Hitter? Have you tried that High Stim Hitter? That's a High Stim Hitter. So pretty simple, but also I think a little bit genius, and got to pat myself on the back for that one. But I really did like the name High Stim Hitter, and definitely had to go with it. There might be a non-stim hitter at some point. We shall see what happens, but either way, for now we do have the High Stim Hitter. Now, the tub here is absolutely beautiful. As you guys could see, by the way, I'm in my living room right now. I'm not in the usual studio. That is because my studio is currently under renovation. I got a little bit of work to do in that room, and I'm not really able to access it at the moment. It's an entire mess at the moment. So I'm recording here in the living room. You guys could see a little bit of a different background, and we're going to talk about the... Before we even get to the label, I kind of want to tell you about the thought process that went into this pre-workout, and specifically the formula. So if you guys have been following me on YouTube and watching my reviews for a while, you know that I've always been into the more euphoric pre-workouts, right? When I first started, Dark Energy, that was my jam. I love Dark Energy. That was the pre-workout that I would take like twice a week, and man, whatever they had in there, that was definitely spiked, but whatever they had in there just put me in such a good mood. And it didn't really give me that much energy directly, but inadvertently, it gave me the best workout sessions ever because it just made me euphoric and happy and locked in. The music sounded 1,000 times better. I was so into the training session, and I was genuinely smiling from ear to ear and doing my sets, my reps, and just getting it all in there and just feeling amazing afterwards. So I always looked for pre-workouts that were kind of similar to Dark Energy, and let's be honest, the only two pre-workouts that ever came close to that happy feeling were Excelsior and Crack Purple, the original 120 geranium extract version. You guys know what I'm talking about. The version that Sub Central recently brought back, but, you know, I heard it was clumped, I heard there was some issues, the batches were inconsistent, whatever. Those days are long gone, but those are probably the only two pre-workouts that really came close to that level of happiness, euphoria. And to me, I always look for those kind of pre-workouts that really emphasize the mood, the happiness, and also the focus above all else. You have other pre-workouts that are more aggressive, and I liked my aggressive pre-workouts as well, but there always had to be a balance. I didn't like the pre-workouts that made me tweak. Like when I first took the original Hero Lean from Dark Labs, that one literally, the first 30 minutes were amazing. It was the craziest, most intense head high I ever felt in my life, but what followed was shakiness, anxiety, palpitations, cold sweats. Not a fan of that, right? There's always a fine balance that has to be found within these products, and everybody's tolerance is a little bit different. But one pre-workout that I always liked, where on label it looks very crazy, but in reality It's actually an amazing pre-workout. You guys know this one. Everybody knows this one. I'm talking about Edge of Insanity by Psychopharma. For whatever reason, the Alpha Yo that they use in that pre-workout specifically, with the yohimbine that's in there as well, it just gives you its own kind of buzz where it's aggressive, it's angry, it's high energy, but there's also a feel-good component to it. So it's different from the dark energy, happy feel, the euphoria, the ecstasy. It's a different kind of feel. It's its own kind of buzz, but it's more surrounded with energy and just productive, get shit done kind of energy, right? So that is kind of the other extreme. Obviously, you have pre-workouts that are even stronger than that, but I'm not a fan of those that are too crazy. You know, there's a couple, like even Apollo Nutrition, right? They released Mad World, which was too much for me. I even said it in my review. It's still here on the channel. You guys could go watch it. I even said in my review that a full dose was too much for me. Half a scoop to 3/4 was my perfect sweet spot. That one was just too much at the full scoop. And you have a lot of pre-workouts like that. You had the original Juiced when that first came out. That was crazy. You had the El Jefe Fuego, which, yeah, it was good. It was productive, but it was too much. That thing had me tweaking and shaking and like just going absolutely crazy for hours post-training. There's a couple of others I can't think off the top of my head, but there was obviously that other extreme. So what I set to do, I really wanted to create an all-in-one package because I wanted this to be something that you could take either at half a scoop or a full scoop, and it would still be a relatively clinically dosed product where you're still reaping the actual benefits when it comes to training, but it also would provide you a good mood elevation and good energy as well. I kind of wanted to cross those two worlds together, and there were pre-workouts that did achieve that. One off the top of my head was the Mr. White Yayo edition. That really combined the euphoric element plus the aggressive element and created something truly special. That was an amazing pre-workout. Probably the last amazing pre-workout I took before I retired. But with that being said, High Stim Hitter really meant to check off all the boxes, everything. I wanted the euphoria in here, the mood elevation. I wanted the good feeling that really would just make you feel ecstatic to be in the gym, but I also did want that aggression. Now, a lot of times you have these pre-workouts that maybe they have a good label, but they're not formulated so well. The synergy between the ingredients doesn't exist so well. So what happens is everything kind of hits you at one shot, and your body doesn't really know how to process it, right? Now, I'm not a chemist. I don't really understand the process, but when I spoke to my friends over at Project M Supplements, I told them that I want this thing to come in waves. I basically told them, you guys work your magic. This needs to come in waves. I want the euphoria, the focus, the mood elevation to come to the forefront before anything else. And then little by little, you're going to get some of the thermogenesis. The energy is going to come in. The eyes are going to widen a little bit. And you're going to zone in, dial in, tunnel vision focus, energy, sweat, a little bit of aggression. But I want the euphoric package to remain. That was what I told them. And from what I hear, because there's been feedback from 3 people so far, I achieved it. So I'm really happy about that. We're going to begin. We're going to go over this label. The lighting in here isn't amazing, so I might squint a little bit. We're going to read everything on here as it pertains to 1 full scoop. You could take it at half a scoop, which gives you 40 servings, or 1 scoop, which gives you 20 servings. Okay, it's a 40-20, but this is a high stim pre-workout, the High Stim Hitter to be exact, okay? So first off, we start off with L-citrulline malate 2-to-1 ratio at 10,000 milligrams. So 10 grams of L-citrulline malate, and I know there's people that prefer the pure L-citrulline. Guys, this is my formula. This is my baby. I chose L-citrulline malate because I always had better pumps on L-citrulline malate. There's also a lot of research that malic acid helps performance in the gym and actually contributes to better pumps. Even if the citrulline content itself is lower than pure L-citrulline, the malic acid bonds with it together and actually creates a better, more efficient pump. Believe it or not, science, am I right? But I chose the L-citrulline malate. 10 grams is a massive, massive dose. So you're getting essentially 6 or 7 grams of L-citrulline, which, by the way, more than enough L-citrulline. And you're getting about 3-4 grams of that malic acid. Yeah, I think it's 6 grams of citrulline, 4 grams of malic acid, 2-to-1 ratio, if my math is correct. Which, again, more than enough. You do not need 10 grams of pure L-citrulline. That's freaking craziness. Then we got the beta-alanine, right? You're getting 4,000 milligrams. So clinical dose is 3,200. I always found that 4,000 milligrams for me was the perfect sweet spot. It's just a little bit more than the clinical dose, and it gives you those tingles, and ideally you want the tingles to kind of come in early on to kind of get you moving before all the stims and the nootropics and everything else comes in. You kind of want that to be the initial buffer that gets you going to that next level, and then you kind of want it to start fading away as everything else is coming in. From what I understand, that is exactly the way it comes in here. It's not too intense, but at the same time, it's definitely noticeable. So that's good because that's what I was going for. Now we have the energy and focus package here. We start with N-acetyl L-tyrosine, which is a more potent form of L-tyrosine at 3,000 milligrams. This was always my favorite nootropic, always gave me that good focus. And even pre-workouts that were not illicit, that were not underground, even if we're talking about fully compliant pre-workouts, I always found that if something had even 1 gram of tyrosine in there, it always enhanced the experience. Even pre-workouts from companies like Axe and Sledge, right? Which is a very mainstream company. They don't do anything illicit or underground. But that 1 gram of citrulline that they have in, I forgot what the name of their pre-workout is. I reviewed it here on the channel. It was the Christmas green gelatin flavor. I'm forgetting the name. But that one had 1 gram of tyrosine, and it was amazing. So tyrosine is something I enjoy. N-acetyl L-tyrosine is supposedly a more concentrated form of it, a purer form. 3 grams, crazy. So even if you're taking this at half a scoop, you're getting 1.5 grams, more than enough, okay? More than a lot of other pre-workouts will give you. Caffeine anhydrous, 400 milligrams. I always liked 400. It was a good cutoff point for me. And my friend GGH says this a lot. If you can't make a pre-workout pop with 400 milligrams, you're doing something wrong. And I agree with that. You do not need 550, 600 milligrams of caffeine to make a pre-workout pop. I don't think that's necessary. These days I'm taking non-stim pre-workouts and I'm pairing a 50, that's right guys, a 50 milligram caffeine capsule on top of it, okay? So High Stim Ace has become non-stim Ace, but that is a whole other story. My point is you do not need more than 400. Even at half a dose, 200 milligrams of caffeine is a beautiful, beautiful amount. Then we have the 2-amino isoheptane HCl. That is the synthetic lab made yum-yums, right? 300 milligrams, great dose. If you're taking it at half a scoop, 150. And I specifically went with the 300 because with Project M supplements, it's funny, they released the dancing pills, right, which were pure DMHA, and if you guys saw my review for that initial batch, you know that those things were really, really strong and a little too intense for me. For some reason, when they have their 2-amino that they sell separately, that stuff hits like a train, but when they add it to the pre-workout, it kind of tones down a little bit. Maybe it has something to do with the manufacturing process. So I specifically went with 300 on the off chance that it's going to be that weaker source, and I kind of wanted it to compensate. So I think 300 is a good amount. My buddy Harry tried it, he liked it a lot, and there was 2 other people that told me it was really good as well. We have Araya gerenesis extract next at 300 milligrams. That is the, I was going to say clinical dose, but there is no clinical dose for Araya gerenesis. It's at a 1-to-1 ratio with the DMHA though, so I think that is really good. It's going to provide the mood elevation, the floaty head high, all that other stuff that we like so much. Then we have some halostashin, which gives you like a speedy effect. It's kind of like, people refer to it as ephedrine light. It gives you like a bit of a speedy effect, right? It makes you sweat a little bit. It gives you more of a focus. I always liked halostashin. It's nothing too crazy, but I always liked it. So you're getting 100 milligrams of that in here. Then you're getting, and this is the ingredient that really makes this stand out, you're getting Noopept at 100 milligrams, right? So Noopept is an interesting one because a lot of people take it daily as a kind of cognitive enhancer, as a nootropic. I personally tried running Noopept for like 2 weeks a while back. I'm talking about like 2.5 years ago. I did a little experiment with nootropics, and I tried Noopept at 30 milligrams once a day in the morning with my morning cup of coffee. I swear I didn't feel anything on it, guys. I swear I did not feel a thing on it. And it's funny because all these pre-workouts that add Noopept in there, which there aren't that many that do in this day and age, but the ones that do will always put 30 milligrams. I don't know, 30 milligrams, maybe because I'm a big guy, I'm 6'4", maybe because I'm a big guy with a big body frame, it just never did much for me at that dose, but I kind of wanted it to be impactful, you know, because I'm assuming if you're taking this pre-workout, you're not taking it every day. Don't take this every day. Take this on a Saturday, Sunday, you know, High Stim Saturday, whatever you want to call it. Take this, this is like a once a week, twice a week hitter, okay? So 100 milligrams, you will definitely feel, you're going to get the eyes widening, you're going to get the dialed in focus, the tunnel vision, and especially with all the other stimulants, that Noopept is going to stand out. And that alone already makes this formula unique and different than anything on the market. And even at half a dose, you're getting 50 milligrams, which is still more than the 30 that you would get with other pre-workouts at their full dose. So that was kind of the thought process with the Noopept, right? Then we got the GBB in here for thermogenesis at 30 milligrams. Now, GBB, I know people either love or hate GBB. I always liked GBB, and I was always able to tolerate high amounts of it. I could take 60 milligrams of it. Heck, I could go up to 80, and it was still good for me. But I was kind of thinking about the masses here. I said, I don't want this to be a fat burner type of pre-workout, because not everybody likes the pre-workouts where you're sweating buckets and you're sticky and disgusting after. But I did want there to be a sense of thermogenesis, because what I find a lot of times, even back when I used to train with pre-workouts, a lot of times I would run like a daily driver, or I would take like a weaker pre-workout, and what I did was pair half a dose of Molotov from Apollo Nutrition, right, which had GBB in there, and I found that GBB, even though it's not technically a stimulant on its own, it would almost act like a stimulant, and it would enhance the effectiveness of whatever pre-workout you paired it with, whether it was illicit or non-illicit, whatever you paired that GBB with, it enhanced it, took it to the next level. So I said 30 milligrams is an amount that I feel most people can tolerate, unless you're super sensitive to it, in which case, guys, take half a scoop, okay? Brings it down to 15. But the GBB had to be in there. Now, here are the two ingredients that are somewhat controversial, or rather the dosages are controversial, right? So we start off with yohimbine HCl, 4 milligrams, and rewolskine, which is alpha-yohimbine at 4 milligrams. Now, I know a lot of people are sensitive. They see alpha-yo even at 1 milligram, and they're afraid, and they're running for the hills. You got to understand that with Project M supplements, I've tested their rewolskine pills, and I've had pretty much all of their pre-workouts, obviously not the recent ones, but I've reviewed a bunch of their pre-workouts, which had 2-3 milligrams of alpha-yo and yohimbine, or one or the other, whatever, and they never really hit me too hard. Even Judgment Day, which I think was their hardest hitting pre-workout, it never slapped me like a freight train. So 4 milligrams of yohimbine, 4 milligrams of alpha-yo, it's really more like 1.5 and 1.5. And I'm just being real. I'm just shooting with you guys. I have no reason to lie about this. It's not going to be this crazy alpha-yo that's going to kill you, okay? Again, if you're sensitive to this stuff and you are interested in trying this out, take it at half a scoop to assess tolerance. You can always pair a little bit more citrulline to kind of help with the blood flow and even things out, right? And lastly, we have the regenerate category, regenerate, I should say. And the last ingredient in here is astringent absorption at 50 milligrams. Okay, so just an all-around ingredient for absorption. And that's it, guys. That is the label of High Stim Hitter. Now, again, I already spent the first portion of this video talking about what the thought process was, the products that kind of inspired me to make this one. I really wanted to kind of recapture the vibe from like 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, back before the 2-amino and the illicits were fully out the door, when they're still kind of coming out. You know, I'm talking like Dark Labs from like 3.5 years ago, right? I was kind of trying to replicate that, but with my own little twist. More emphasis on euphoria, more emphasis on happy, good, positive vibes, clean energy, and obviously I wanted that energy to come in later at the 30, 40, 45 minute mark. So you start off, you're locked in, you have that initial buzz, you got the little tingles going from the betas, you got the energy coming in slowly, building up over 30, 40 minutes, and then the alpha-yo and the yohimbine come in and kind of get you across the finish line, right? So by the end of the pre-workout, by the end of the workout, I should say, you have a buzz, you're feeling good, you're energized, you're motivated, and you got a little bit of that rock and roll energy from the yohimbine and alpha-yo, and a little bit of a sweat from the GBB. And obviously the pumps, right? Citrulline, malate, 10 grams, 2-to-1 ratio, more than enough. I didn't put any other pump ingredient because I know a lot of people like to stack pump pills, which usually have like vasodrive in there, or what's the other ingredient? I'm blanking out of the ingredients, but you know, a lot of pump pills, obviously they don't have citrulline in there because they have limited amount of what they could actually put in the pill, but a lot of these pills will have some sort of nitrates, vasodrive, whatever, and you could definitely pair pump pills on top of this. You could put a little bit of liquid glycerol if you want to get a little bit more of that watery pump. I don't think you have to pair anything on top of it because I think the formula is perfect as it is. But again, the irony here is that I'm not going to be able to try my own pre-workout. And if you guys are asking me, Ace, why are you not able to try your pre-workouts? Then go watch the 2 videos I released right before this one. I get into it. I break it down in detail. I do not need to repeat myself. But I did promise that when this was going to come in, I was going to break it down for the community and tell you guys the thought process. Obviously, I can't give it a proper review, but my good friend Harry from Premium Supplement Reviews did give it a review, and he really kind of broke down his experience running it at half a scoop and a full scoop. So check out his video. I'm going to link it down below if you guys want to watch it. Check it out. I'm hoping that other people are going to check it out because I do believe in this formula. My buddy Caffeinated Rob over on Instagram, as well as Bobby, both said it was a banger, so I'm really happy to hear that. It's only 3 people so far, but the positive feedback has been really, really well received, and I hope you guys check it out. All right, if you want me to do a follow-up video, if you have any specific questions or whatever, leave the comments down below. And you can pick this one up from Project M Supplements website, which is illicitsubs.com. Discount code ACE will save you 20%. It's going to bring this down to $48, which is very, very affordable in our day and age. In 2026, $48 for a pre-workout of this magnitude is a steal. So discount code ACE on illicitsubs.com will bring it down. I think NutriCartel also has this coming in. I'm not sure if it's up on the website yet or not, but the NutriCartel code ACE15 will knock off 15%. That is still active, and there are people still using my discount code despite the fact that I'm no longer reviewing pre-workouts. So I love you guys, appreciate you guys, and once I get everything here settled, once I have that room reformed, I will be back. Obviously not as frequently as I was, but I am going to still be reviewing proteins, hydration formulas, non-stim pre-workouts. I know that Apollo Nutrition has the bare knuckle, I think it's V6 coming out soon, so I'm going to definitely review that one. Okay, I'm excited to review their new bare knuckle. That's definitely something I'm going to check out. And like I said, I will be reviewing certain stuff. There's some stuff that Panda sent me a little while back. I've just been busy with a lot of stuff. I haven't had the chance to do it. I'm currently redoing that entire studio room, so it might take a few weeks, maybe a month, month and a half. But you guys know I'm here. I'm not retired. I'm not going away, but the content is definitely changing, all right? Just reminding you that I have my secondary channel, Ace After Dark, which is the channel where I talk about all this stuff that I have right over here, whether it's video games, anime, manga, 90s culture, retro stuff, TCG, anything going on in my personal life, or just things that I'm interested in. I did an epic rant while I was in the car talking about the state of video games, you know, PlayStation getting rid of discs and whatnot, and I kind of went on a rant, and I think I really made my point in that video. So if you're interested in that kind of content, check it out, Ace After Dark. We'll link it down below. Hope you guys have an amazing weekend up ahead, and I'll see you soon. Ace signing off.